He handed me his phone. "Hold this," he said. A message was still open. Her name had a heart next to it. Last night was worth the risk. I didn't react. He was tying his tie in the mirror. Calm, casual, like nothing had changed. Like I wasn't standing there, reading the end of my marriage. "You forgot to delete it," I said. He glanced at me, not shocked, not scared, annoyed. Then he smirked. "You weren't supposed to see that." That was it. No apology, no explanation, just poor timing. I stared at him, then at the reflection of us in the mirror. Same room, same life, two completely different realities. "How long?" I asked. He adjusted his cufflinks. "Does it matter?" It did, but not for the reason he thought. I nodded slowly. Then I handed him his phone back. "Don't be late," I said. He frowned. Late for what? I walked past him. For work. That confused him. Good. Because I wasn't angry, not anymore. I was calculating, and he had no idea. We had been married for 6 years. On paper, it looked perfect. He was successful, charming, the kind of man people trusted instantly. And I was convenient, reliable, predictable. He liked that. He built his life on that. But there were patterns, small ones, the kind you ignore at first. Late nights, unexplained expenses, a sudden obsession with privacy. He started locking his phone, taking calls in another room, smiling at messages he never shared. I noticed everything. I just didn't react, because reacting gives them time to adapt, and I needed him comfortable, careless, unaware. So I waited, and I watched. 3 days after that message, I followed him, not emotionally, logistically. He left the office at 6:12 p.m., drove east instead of home, stopped at a boutique hotel, room keys were handed over without ID. That told me everything. This wasn't new. This was routine. I sat in my car across the street, engine off, lights off, and I wrote down every detail, time, location, pattern, because emotions fade, but data doesn't lie. He stayed there for 2 hours. When he came out, he was smiling, relaxed, like a man who thought he had everything under control. That was the moment I stopped being his wife and became his problem. That night, I didn't confront him. I made dinner, asked about his day, listened, smiled. He talked about work, about stress, about how hard he was trying for us. I almost laughed, but I didn't, because I needed him exactly where he was, comfortable, blind, and still underestimating me. The next morning, I opened our shared accounts, not to check, to map. Income streams, investments, property, hidden transfers. That's when I found it. A second account, not in his name, but linked to his business. Money was moving through it, regularly, clean amounts, too clean. That wasn't an affair fund. That was something else, something bigger. And suddenly, this wasn't just betrayal. It was leverage. I didn't rush. Rushing is what people do when they're hurt. I was done being hurt. Now I was strategic. I spent the next week building a timeline, where he went, who he met, what he spent, and how the money moved. Patterns started forming, clear ones. The hotel wasn't the only place. There were others. Different locations, same routine, same timing, same withdrawals. He thought he was managing 2 lives. He didn't realize he was leaving a trail. 7 days later, he came home late again, tired, distracted. He loosened his tie and dropped onto the couch. "Long day," he said. I nodded. "I know." He looked at me. Something in my tone caught his attention. "What does that mean?" I smiled. "Nothing." And that's when I decided. I waited until he fell asleep, not because I needed time, but because I wanted silence, clarity. No interruptions, no performance, just truth. I sat at the dining table, the document in front of me, his signature at the bottom, clean, confident, careless. I ran my finger over it once, then I opened my laptop and finalized everything. What he signed wasn't routine paperwork. It was a full transfer of ownership, the house, the primary account, and most importantly, his business holding, all rooted through a clause he never read. a clause I added weeks ago, back when I first suspected, back when I stopped being emotional and started preparing. He thought I was distracted. He thought I was naive. He thought I didn't understand his world. That was his biggest mistake, because I built half of it, quietly, in the background, while he took credit. By morning, everything was done, legally binding, irreversible, and invisible for now. He woke up late, rushed. I made coffee, like always. He grabbed his keys. "Big meeting today," he said. I nodded. "I know." He looked at me. Something in my tone caught his attention. "What does that mean?" I smiled. "Nothing." And that's when I decided. He frowned, then left, still thinking he was in control. At 10:03 a.m., his phone rang. I know the exact time because I was watching. He stepped out of his meeting, answered, listened. His posture changed instantly. Rigid, sharp. "What do you mean I don't have access?" Pause. "That's my company." Longer pause. "No, that's not possible." I could almost hear the panic building. Quiet, controlled, but rising, the way it always does when reality doesn't match expectation. By 10:11 a.m., he was calling me. I let it ring, once, twice, 3 times. Then I answered, calm. "Hey, what did you do?" No greeting, no mask, just fear. I leaned back in my chair. "I signed the paperwork," I said. "You told me to handle it." "That wasn't—" He stopped himself. "You transferred everything." "Yes." Silence, heavy. Then, "You can't do that."
I smiled. "I already did." He came home early, faster than I expected. The door slammed open. Footsteps, sharp, uncontrolled. "Where are you?" "In the kitchen." He walked in, face flushed, eyes wide. For the first time, he looked uncertain. "What is this?" he demanded. I slid the folder across the table. He opened it, flipped through, faster, then slower. Then he stopped, right at the clause, the one he signed, the one that gave me control. "This isn't standard," he said. "No," I replied. "It's not. You tricked me." I tilted my head slightly. "No." Pause. "You just didn't read." He laughed, short, sharp, disbelieving. "This won't hold." "It already does. You think this is a game?" I met his eyes. "No." Another pause, longer this time, because now he was starting to understand. Not everything, but enough. "What do you want?" he asked. There it was. Not anger, not dominance, negotiation. That's when I knew the power had shifted. "I want you to sit down," I said. He didn't move. "Sit." Something in my voice made him listen. He pulled out the chair, slowly, like the ground under him wasn't stable anymore. Then I placed my phone on the table, unlocked, pressed play. Her voice filled the room, soft, laughing, intimate. "Does she suspect anything?" Silence. Then his voice, confident. "No, she's not like that. She trusts me." I watched his face as it hit him. Not the cheating. That part didn't scare him. It was the recording, the evidence, the loss of control. I paused it. "That's just one," I said. "I have more." His jaw tightened. "You've been spying on me?" "I've been paying attention." Another silence. But this one was different. He wasn't angry anymore. He was calculating, trying to find a way out. But there wasn't one, because I had already closed every door. "The account," I continued. "The one you thought I wouldn't find?" His eyes flickered, just for a second. "Enough. That's not what you think." "I know exactly what it is." I leaned forward slightly. "You weren't just cheating." Now he said nothing, because now he knew. "I don't care about her," I said. "Not really. That's just noise. But the money?" I tapped the folder. "That's where you made your real mistake." He swallowed. "What do you want?" Same question, different tone. This time, he meant it. "I want everything clean," I said. "Divorce, no contest. You walk away. No claims, no fights, and no lies." He stared at me. "You're serious?" "Yes." "And if I don't?" I held his gaze. Then I pressed play again. A different clip, a different conversation. Numbers, amounts, transfers, things that don't stay private when they're exposed. I stopped it halfway. "You won't like how this ends," I said quietly. He leaned back in his chair, exhaled, long, slow, like a man realizing the game is already over. "You planned this," he said. "Yes." "For how long?" I thought about it, then answered honestly, "Since the moment you thought I wouldn't." Another silence, but this one was acceptance. He signed the divorce papers 3 days later. No arguments, no delays, just signatures. She left him a week after that. Turns out she didn't like access. Funny how that works. 6 months later, the business doubled, without him. Cleaner, smarter, stronger. And me? I didn't get revenge. I got control. Because he thought cheating was the betrayal. It wasn't. Underestimating me was. It was time to stop observing and start setting the trap. Because here's the thing about people like him. They don't just cheat. They get sloppy, arrogant. They think the worst thing they've done is enough to destroy you. They don't expect you to look deeper, to connect things, to see the full picture. But I did. And what I found wasn't just an affair. It was a weakness, one I could use. I printed everything. Bank statements, transaction logs, hotel records, screenshots. And then I added something else. A document. Clean, simple, legal. Something he would never question, because it looked like routine paperwork. Something he signed all the time, without reading. That was his pattern, and patterns are predictable. 2 nights later, I placed it on his desk, right under his laptop, exactly where he would see it. Then I waited. At 9:47 p.m., he walked into the office, picked it up, flipped through it quickly. "Hey," he called out, "what's this?" I stayed in the kitchen. "Just something for the property transfer, needs your signature." Pause, then a pen clicked. No hesitation, no questions, just ink on paper, exactly like I expected. He walked back in, handed it to me. Done. I took it, smiled. "Thanks." He kissed my forehead, like everything was normal, like he was still in control. He had no idea that with that signature, I had just given him everything.